So you just finished watching the top 10 profession suicide, and I would like to explain more about the real estate and as well the financial plan. And also I have to add it in with investment property and as well with construction and why them four are aligned together and creates a huge problem. And I'll get that in shortly. Now let's have a slightly idea of a credit card. Okay, news.com.au releases one of this article this morning that I was pretty angry just to read it. 1/4 of Australian teenagers have a credit card with a warning of a debt spiral. So as you go through this article, you can tell from here, 16.6% people get their first credit card at the age of 18. 6.3 by the time they reach the 19, and by the age of 25, more than 55% have had a credit card. That is alarming rate because a very young age just to have a credit card. Now, when I go through this whole thing, and it just makes me think of, well, the reason why is because the high cost of living is going up, significant number of young Australians are turning into plastic to cover everyday expenses. Now, we have a problem with the cost of living is going up, housing, tax, food. Less people are shopping right nowadays, but that is alarming just to see, young people like me are getting onto this sort of plastic card, plastic life debt. And yeah, some of them that doesn't have, doesn't have support from the family or credit, or that's the only options, right? You mentioned here, some people doesn't have their family support, which is understandable. You have to be a legal age at 18. Must be 18 before the law to let you allowed to have a credit card. It makes sense. Now, this is the part that let's get into. All right, you got 19%, which is the average interest rate for a credit card, right? And let's do a bit of mathematics. All right, so 19 students who did not pay their balance off, and it's $1,000 unpaid debt. All right, average is $200. Now, if you're going to do that on the map, so what we do here, right down here, 19 divided by 100 times 1,000. So that's what we do here, right? 19 divided by 100 times 1,000. So that's an average of, that's $190. Now you got $190, that's only interest only. And this article is right, $200. All right, but just to go through this, let's just say the bank will earn $190 interest. $1,000, right? Student, young, would I have, would I work, we just pretty much study very hard, and we don't have full-time jobs. Some of us has, but just to give you a slight idea, we're starting from small money, $1,000, right? Any $1,000, maybe you want to buy a TV or a new iMac Pro for your studies, understandable. Okay, so you have $190, okay? $190, let's just say you can't pay it off, or let's just say you got to pay it off within, no, I can't do that, that's divide, 190 times 6 months, right? 6 months, that's literally, right, 190, like just to see that 6 months is just 1,040. 1,140. That is equivalent of what you borrowed, and a bit more, $140 more. And that's only interest. Don't forget, you also have to pay this. You also have to pay $1,000. That equivalent to $2,140 within 6 months of repayment. Now, before we just say this is the credit card. Okay, so this is what it's like, right? $2,140 within 6 months of repayment. This is alarming just to see that, and most of us does not understand. This article goes even further, right? So most young people are working casual and contract and do not guarantee income. See, that's of course high cost job in stability at the moment is unsecure. Cost of living going up, housing is going up, and financial literacy is not taught very well in many schools about this credit card, about this interest. Now, if I look back through my life, right, I remember learning tax, superannuation, interest rate when I was in the beginning of my year sevens. I remember like my first 2-3 months of year seven, we learned about it. And here, this article is saying that, well, financial literacy is not taught very well in many schools. No, you taught us in year 7 at a very young stage, but when we go to year 8, year 9, year 10, 11, 12, or university, they don't teach us sort of stuff. They teach us like algebra, what they call it, like even further stuff, all right? And it gets algorithm, I don't know what you guys call it, but you learn all about the deeper stuff for our career, all right, for the studies that we want to go to. If parents are not teaching their kids on how credit card works and how credit card debt works, oh gosh, and the kids are potentially setting themselves up for a lifetime of debt stress. Now, just to see that a lifetime debt stress, I get to see my mates in the past will bring a lot of problems. I know a mate who couldn't pay off his credit card for 2 years, and he's still on his debt. Or he has a 2-year debt on but it's a normal for 2-3 years for a car loan debt as well. And I see his lifestyle, which is really crap. Just working for the bank, being a bank slave. But I really felt sorry for him. I hope he pays it off by now. But I got another mate who got on a car loan for like $10,000 or $20,000, and he still couldn't pay it off due to other debt problems. And this is the reason why people should understand this whole purpose of credit card, because it's very important. It'll drain your life now. So what happens when you don't pay off your credit card? Now, obviously, you have a bad credit history. Some people don't understand the implication of black market on the credit card history. So it will reject them on applying for a home or car loan, and will be rejected because you have a bad credit history. So if you can't pay off your credit in a certain time frame, right, the credit will contact you non-stop, right? They call it debt collectors, right? Debt collectors is the department in the bank will chase people up and paying up their debts and everything. And if that doesn't be resolved in a certain month, then it will taken up to authority that is going to get a more serious consequence. For example, it's going to come to your house and just grab every single thing that you own in your room. Pretty much what you see in the movies. It's the pretty much same concept. And that's why I said people should go for it. So if I find more than 2,000 people found that females were twice as likely as males. Shoe shopping. Oh gosh, girls. It kind of makes sense, going shoe shopping, dress shopping, and twice as likely as men. That's a lot of clothes that we'll be talking. So that's credit card. We skip one way because that is the small amount of money. Let's go towards to the article that I read the other day. Australian shadows banking sector, mum and dad. Now this article is about, it's about parents who refinance their money or use their savings to help their child to buy the first home or investment property under their name, because if they have their home, they have their dream home or some of the investments, they'll lose the first home grant and as well stamp duty. It saves a lot cheaper for kids to buy a house, right? Just to go through the first home owner grant. Now, as you scroll down on the article, sorry for my computer is speeding up off the fan. There's nothing much I can reduce about it. Is the deposit of parents of deposit of helping you to buy a house is close to, well, it's not 25, I would say 23, right? Let's just make it 23 here, right? Deposit. And hooray, the house, they got the house, they stay in, you know, or maybe they just rent it out and they go through repayments. From 2010 to 2016, March, that's a 10% drop, right? 30%, 23%, 10% drop. It means 10% of the first home buyers or kids purchased the house could not afford to do the repayments. This is an alarming rate just to see that, because 10% the banks will confiscate the house. And what they do is, if you can't pay the house in a certain, well, obviously you know housing insurance due to job loss, or I think it's up to 6 months or 3 months, and after the insurance, yeah, the banks will come in and they'll do anything with the property. They'll change the locks and they'll lock you out. You couldn't access the home. You will sleep on the street and you will end up homeless. And this is an alarming rate. The teachers never taught about this, right? And average size of help of deposit. So see, there you go, deposit. Now, I know during that time frame here, I think 2015 or 2014 to 2010, the deposit is like 5%, all right? 5%. Now, if we just say 5%, well, a lot of people will say, well, 1 million, what's 5%? That's pretty much just like 50,000. So if you don't believe me, let's just say 5% divided by 100 times 1 million. So I can't remember how many zeros there are. So 6 zeros is 100,000, 7 zeros is a million. So it's 50,000. So 50,000. So that means kids are buying more house. It's more expensive than $1 million. This pretty much makes sense here. But that's minimum. I'm saying minimum. You can do deposit 50,000. But the more deposit you have, the less years you have to pay off your home loan. That's pretty much how it works. But you know, during that time frame, the government says borrow 95% of the bank, and it's all right, the house is yours, and you pay more than 70 years of your life. You know, by the time you hit 70, you can't even pay it off. But during this time, right, or even earlier than 2010, you know, we'll have a low interest rate, and you know, like low interest rate means, woohoo, we can buy a house, we can do investment, because for the last 20 years, our housing property has been increasing. It has been declining and making money. I don't need to work hard and save money, because it's difficult to save $15,000 per year, but may as well just buy a house and invest, where the house will make money for me and make 100 or 200,000 on top. And that's what a lot of people are doing nowadays. Cost of living is going up, unsecurity jobs, and therefore pushes a lot of people out to buy property, because property is the fastest way and secure way of making money. That's their point of view, but not my point of view. My point of view is still dangerous to go through that route. Now, okay, enough of my talk, all right? Now you have a bit of understanding. But one thing that most people does not understand is, let's just say we buy a house, right? Let's just say we purchase a house. Let's just say a house in, I don't know, average, I think average is probably like 800,000 or 900,000 in Sydney. And Melbourne is, you still can buy a house 600, but it's pretty further away. Let's just say 750,000, all right? 750,000. Purchase property price 750,000, right? And the interest rate we're currently holding, according to the according to this website, loansense.com.au, Information Reserve Bank, Australia interest rate from 1959 to 2016. I'll go over this whole thing later on, but let's get back to what is the current one. So 2016, there's no September, but August 2016, 5%. From what my understanding, to go through big banks' website, the fixed rate is 3.85%. So we will go through the fixed rate. Okay, so let's just say fixed rate 3.85%. All right, so we purchased the house, 750,000, and God knows what's your deposit. Maybe I think nowadays it's 30%. Well, I overheard you need 30% just to secure a property nowadays. Now is back in the days is 5%. I was during that time. So there you go. So let's just say 3.8. Well, 3.85% divided by 100 times. Whoa, how come it's okay? 3.85% divided by 100. Yeah, that's right. Times 750. I'm gonna make sure it's 700,000. Okay, so your yearly interest repayment is 28,875. Now we got to go monthly and weekly. All right, we got to go monthly and weekly. So we divide it by 52 weeks. There you go. Your weekly is 55.5. So monthly, you divide it by. Oh shit, that's divided by. I can't do. It's 55 times 4 weeks. So that's your monthly. So your yearly interest repayment is 28,875. Your monthly is 2,220, and your weekly is 555. Now, this figure, all these three figures, is only interest only. You're not spending $1 on your debt. All right. For God knows how much you put deposit in this house. All right. Let's just say, let's go according to God knows how much you actually pay for this house. This may vary depending on the borrowing, but let's just say this is crazy amount. All right. Let's just say, all right. Well, there's a purchase price. Let's just say you put in 50. No, I can't say 50. What is 750,000? What is 30%? Because we've got to follow what's the trend at the moment. 30% of times 750,000. So that's your deposit. So you need to put deposit of. Wow, that's a lot of money. Okay, 225,000. That's the 30% deposit. To secure a loan. So 30%. Okay. So you obviously what you do is 700 and you divide it by you add plus you God damn it 700. Well, you divide it by so you're left with 525. Alright, so that's what you borrow. Your borrow amount. Okay, I'm back again. I just don't want to do this 30% thing. Because the calculator is not playing up. So let's just say we borrow that much, because nowadays, let's be honest, I think majority of us will probably Sydney probably will be borrowing 750,000 realistically in today. Melbourne we kind of get there, so we'll stick with 750,000. All right, so that's under 3.85% fixed year, 5 years fixed. All right, I think once it's not fixed, I think it's like 4.4 or something around there after 5 years. But anywho, let's get back to straight to it. So this is Loan Sense, as I mentioned before. It goes through 1959 to 2016. The problem with a lot of people who does not understand how the fluctuate of interest rate. Now, fluctuate of interest rate is depending on, like, you guys may have heard of the AAA rating or AA or whatever the country rating is. you got the economy, how the economy goes, and third of all, how the Reserve Bank of Australia, how they fluctuate with the interest rate to maintain Australia running. You got global events, for example. I'm not saying Brexit is part of it, but Asia financial crisis or Lehman Brothers or any global financial crisis. And lastly but not least, but you have war. Anything along the line or major event happens will decrease the property market or just fluctuate with the interest rate. And as you can see here, all right, 1959, we're going through 5%. And as you can see here, all right, I'm going really slow. As year goes up, dates goes up, interest rate fluctuate. It's either to go up or to go down. And let's go up again. And you can see, certain month, certain year has different interest rate. Now, my parents came to Australia in September 1989. That was the Australian crash that came in. 17%. All right, we'll put that in mind. All right, so we went from 5%, literally like 20, 30 years now, and I skipped to 1989, literally 30 years ago, 17%. And now let's go more recently. Let's just go down. Every single year it fluctuates. All right, so you got 7%. To be average, to have interest rate is around 7 or 8%. All right, 7, 8, but depending on the economy. All right, this is the most recent one, and there you go. I let this website go search it up, learnsense.com.au historical rate hyphen. You get it. Just go into that website. All right, I'll copy and paste for you guys just to put on my note if you guys wanted to know. So there you go. That's the rate I was putting up the whole time. Okay, so that's it. You never know when the interest rate will go up. Nobody can control it. And in the beginning of the video, I mentioned why this matters a lot to real estate, construction builders, or financial planners or investment, right? Whatever what I just mentioned before, interest rate goes up or goes down, or major events or things like that, right? It creates less clientele or job loss opportunity, right? Real estate is based on pure commission. When interest rate goes up, and I remember this article, I should pull this article up, right? I remember this happened last year ago, right? Or this year ago. Westpac, the only bank that increased their interest rate 0.25%. That same month, in the same 2-3 months afterwards, it was the record lowing purchase of property, because nobody wants to buy a house because they fear all the banks will follow the same thing. You see, also, not only just global or government, also banks will control, because, the more interest, the more money they make. That's pretty much the way it is. It's a lot of things that goes wrong, and just to see that. But why builders? Because builders, when the interest rate goes up, then there's no jobs for them, right? More and more people will less likely to build houses or renovate, because they don't know, because they got to secure their mortgage, or the cost of living is going really high. And as well, financial planners, when interest rate goes up, well, that's a lot of terrible things going to happen. Well, obviously there will be less people who will borrow money. Second of all, a lot of people who borrowed money cannot pay will end up living homeless because they don't have a house anymore. And for the average interest rate, we're talking about like 8 or 9. 8, I reckon 8 or 9 will be average. We'll go through the whole list of 17%. That was ridiculous. And people doesn't understand. It affects a lot of jobs. And Yeah, builders, real estates, financial planners, they're all in the same bubble and they all work together. So let's just say, right, we already got the figure of, yearly interest and repayment, for that much. Let's just create a new one. All right. So that's the website there. You guys have it. Let's just say the interest rate goes up to, I don't know, 8.5%. I think that's pretty average to say that, right? And same amount of money, let's just say, because every single year it fluctuates, right? So let's just say, right, 8.5% divided by 100, then times 750,000. That's the amount of money you borrowed. So we jump from, so 8.5%, $750,000, and yearly six. That's our figures. Oh gosh, my Word documents. We just put it there. It looks like I'm not going to use that screen. So you divide it by 52 weeks. 1,025. That's weekly, and then monthly. Times by 4 weeks. So your monthly repayment is 4,900. That's pretty much right. 4,000. That's pretty much, you have to earn 1,225 just to pay off the repayment only to the bank. Where previously, where we cover 3.85% is literally $555 per week. You see the difference here? You see the difference? That is a massive difference. That's doubled. That's more than doubled. And most people are stuck on this because for those, it happens across the world, and plus our studies, for God's sakes, our high school or secondary or university doesn't even talk about this unless you learn, you study finance or business. You definitely will learn it. This works the same way whether credit card, personal loan, car loan, credit card. You never know. You can't control this sort of stuff, and this is you can't control. That's why a lot of builders, this profession that I mentioned before, is a big hit, and the biggest hit is the clients. Right, the clients will end up homeless, bankrupt. Clients will end up homeless, bankrupt, and paying the banks for life. Alright, you're paying banks for life, and that is a very scary thing. You're being a bank slave for the rest of your life. There's no way out unless you win the lotto ticket. But yeah, you're being a bank slave for the rest of your life. The bank comes in and confiscate your house if you cannot pay the house in a certain amount of time. I'm pretty sure you must have the home insurance. Up to 3 or 6 months, and if you can't pay it, that's it. They're gonna bring their staff in and bar your house, change the lock, and you can't access the house, and your bank life straight away. And it's very, very scary. And the most scary thing, just to see a lot of people are doing that. More and more people are buying houses nowadays because it's the best way to make money, quick way as well. Not the best way, but the quick way to make money. By doing less effort, where most people struggle to save $15,000 or $20,000 per year. But if you buy property's been booming for the last 20 years, and you never know. And it's very scary because the interest rate will kill you. Doesn't matter if you're earning 60 or 70, 100K or $150,000. This will kill you. All right? This is the average Aussie homes. All right, we're talking about the prices here, or minimum, as some of you guys may see. It brings a lot of problems just to see that, and it's scary. And if people like my age or younger than my age doesn't know about this, can you imagine what some huge effect is going to be? All of us is going to be bank slaves just after that. And that's a video that I would like to make today about, having a bit of sense idea, like have an idea of what's it like. How hard is to save, right, weekly, 1,225. You and your missus, right, have to save 600 on the side. And knowing that you're only doing repayment, you're not paying $1 in the house. Right? Well, that one, that's all right. So that one is like, oh, well, weekly, you and your missus will save $280 each. And $280, in compared to that, and then whatever the leftover money you put towards to your repayments, or you're paying the actual debt. Well, this one is you're pure or not. There's not a lot of people are stuck on this, and this is the show figure. And see, we're going even smaller, $1,000. $1,000 with 19%. And can you imagine what 70% would be like? 70%, this would be double. This would be like 9,000, and it's scary. My parents came to Australia with 17%. They didn't purchase a house. And during that time, they purchased a business, and in the region, it's called St Kilda suburb. During 1989, the houses they were staying is like less than $100,000. Now, those houses cost more than $1 million because it's just less than 100 square meter land, and it's costing more than $1 million. You see, the things changing a lot. Like houses were so cheap back then because it's high interest rate. And this brought to what creates today's problem is when there's low interest rate, there's less secure jobs. There's high spending, less saving. More people will buy more property because it makes money, right? Quick money. The property growth will be range from 50,000 to, God knows, 350,000 in a year. That would take more than 20 years just to save that much amount of money. More than 20 years just to save $200,000 solid cash in your bank account. It's difficult. Some people can do it, some people can't. The low income earners, 200,000 in 10 years is pretty good, man. Trust me, it's really good. That's why a lot of people are going through this route. That's why people said it's high inflated housing at market at the moment. Because houses are like that much expensive. But back then it's $100,000. It's crazy just to see that. And I know the media will say, well, renting, you pay more on renting than buying a house. That's what the media is trying to say. You go online, you go to commercials, these advertisements saying, buy a house is cheaper than renting. Alright? That's why a lot of people fall for it. But people doesn't know about this whole thing here. I'm pretty sure nobody told you about this. You can go to a website on your own, in your own time. These are the graph, or going up and down. See? This is the graph. I don't make this graph up. This is the website. Every single year it goes up and down. And when it goes up, more people are forced to go sell their house or be homeless. Because during that time, you're not the only one selling your house. There will be more than 30, 40, 100 properties selling at one same time. So for the buyers, they got to choose 100. They got to choose the best of the best of the price. The same amount of the price, right? So that is the big problem. Right now, we have shortage of housing because we have a high increase of our population coming year by year. And as well, the housing go up. But when interest rate goes up, it doesn't matter how many people is here. Geez, they can't afford it. The only thing they can afford is probably renting at most. And that's why I made a video like, in the past. And, nobody watches it. And it's alright, because one day you'll go through this journey. And it's hurt just to see people does not know about it. The article even says it, The article even says that like school doesn't have that sort of, hasn't have proper techniques to teach their child. Financial literacy is not taught very well in schools. And I mentioned it before. If parents do not teach their kids about credit cards, how it works, can you imagine how home loan and interest rate, how it works, right? By the time it works, they realize, oh shit, I'm homeless now. Damn, now I understand how it works. So this is a big problem, what we're facing right now. And that's why I said, man, if you want to buy a house, borrow the least amount. All right, save as much as you can. All right, with 30%, 50%. It's like me saying, if you want to buy an iPad, right? If you need it urgently, and understandable. All right, let's just say you want an iPad or probably iMac Pro, whatever you guys call it. Let's just say you have $200, you put it in, but and you have to reach 1,000, but you have an interest rate every single month. So they give you the product, but they say, well, you know what, you got to repay these interest in every single month. It costs more than a bloody laptop or half of the laptop that you're earning. That's the problem with going through that way. And did you know when the banks tell you, well, you have 30 years or 20 or 25 years or 20 years to pay off your house, technically you can't pay off your house in 20 years unless you be like really bowling with your money to pay off 20 years. By the time you have 20 years to pay off the house, you literally paid twice as much as what you borrowed. So if you borrowed 750,000, by the time 20 years, you literally pay them back like 1.5 million dollars. So it's all about timing. It's a lot of people just grab it because they're like, oh, Chinese investors is coming in. We are going to get the houses. We are going to get it. We're going to buy it. We're going to snack all the houses. We're going to catch Australian dream. And we're newly migrants coming. It was like, whoa, we're going to chase Australian dream. We're going to get it. We're going to have the houses, this and that, and we're going to get it there. And not knowing this whole concept of doing this. I'm pretty sure they know the whole concept, but they want to chase the Australian dream. But you know what's the problem? Back in their hometown, if they can't pay off the debts or repayment, it's either they get killed or they get to jail for life. The difference in Australia is that even if you can't pay it off, you're not jail for life. You're just working with the bank for life. So that is the biggest problem here why a lot of people come to Australia, they buy houses, or other part of the world who has lenient rules, just like what I mentioned before. They'll buy houses, and I felt really bad because we've seen what had happened in the past with the crash before. The Italians, the Greeks, the Jewish, they got burnt. Alright, if they didn't invest properly, if they borrowed a large amount of the money, they got burnt so hard with a 70% interest rate. They got burnt so hard, and they went bankrupt, and that's the problem. So I hope you guys do understand about this whole video that I'm making. I know nobody's gonna watch this. It's alright. But when one day you go homeless, please watch this video. Alright, have fun.